The man just finished 5 years in prison. Today is his first day out of prison. He chose not to celebrate by eating barbecue crayfish. It was breaking into an office. Looks like you're looking for someone. After confirming the target, the man raised his pistol. The man's name is Johnson. He and his brother robbed a bank 5 years ago. They quickly fled the scene. It didn't take long. A group of gangsters broke into their house. The two were restrained by the gangsters. He threatened his brother's life. Forced Johnson to reveal the location of the stolen money. Wait till the crooks get the money. And he killed Johnson's brother in cold blood. And it was all recorded by an old man. He shot Johnson in the head on his way out. Luckily the bullet came out of the cheek. That's what kept him alive. He's been training every day since he went to prison. In his spare time, he stared at photos with his brother. Revenge is always on my mind. It was finally the day to get out. Johnson was taken to the warden's office. The warden wishes he could put the past behind him, start a new life. But he said nothing. Just staring at the clock on the wall. Then he said something.
Where's the exit?
The warden saw no reason to persuade, so he gave him a business card. Make it difficult for him to find the person on the card. But Johnson threw it away right after he got out of prison. Then he trotted along to an abandoned parking lot. Here's the car he prepared in advance. He lifted the white cloth. Get in the car and get a list of targets. Glasses Man is the first enemy he's gonna kill. Johnson was speeding along in the car. Found the company of Glasses Man. With everyone watching. He just shot him off. Then calmly walk away. Soon police arrived on the scene. The man in charge of the case is the retiring sheriff. They're on the scene with surveillance. Got a positive ID on Johnson. On the other hand, Johnson came to a detective agency. Find your previous partner. Plan to pay for the rest of the enemy's files. The boss has a large bodyguard. I can't believe I want to start the price. The bodyguard was just about to strike. Suddenly I saw the tattoo on Johnson's arm. He immediately chickened out because every letter on the tattoo each represents a human life. The bodyguard then ran away in disgrace. The boss can't get up at this time. Just hand over the information. Back in the car, Johnson began to look through the files. His second target was the old man he photographed. Johnson went straight to the address and killed it. And what he doesn't know is, he himself became a target for assassination. This man is a top killer. He kills a man every day, because he has been poor jingle. There are a dozen sports cars waiting to be refueled at home. One day he got a call from his employer. This time it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He quickly asked his girlfriend to help him prepare the weapon. Then drive to the mission site. But what the killer didn't know. Johnson was already here. His goal was to kill, too, just different goals. This old man, one of the men who killed Johnson's brother. At this time, the old man is taking a video of the girl he tricked back. But Johnson kicked the door open. The old man was so frightened that Flax froze. He started begging for his life. But Johnson won't talk to him. I shot him in the head and sent him to the northwest. The girl begged Johnson not to hurt herself. But Johnson just looked at him and turned away. Because he would never kill innocent people. That's when the killer heard the sound. He was about to shoot. Suddenly a girl came out. That's how Johnson found out about each other. He pushed the girl away. The two sides exchanged heavy gunfire. Didn't realize Johnson had a hut. You go in there and you kill yourself. The killer couldn't handle it. Wait till he wants to reverse. Johnson was long gone by the time it hit. Then he went to a bar. This time the target is to kill his brother's Old Black. He followed Old Black all the way to the bathroom. When Black saw Johnson, knowing there's only one person walking out of here today, enemies are always jealous when they meet. Old Black took out a knife to take the lead in the attack. Johnson easily dodged. One blow broke the bridge of his nose. Old Black strikes again. And then I got caught by Johnson. And then stabbed him in the stomach. The Old Black who fell to the ground did not beg for mercy. And said he was also paid to do things. Someone else killed his brother. Then the Old Black closed his eyes. Johnson then drove away from the scene. Going after the last killer. Then the car radio sounded. Turns out Old Black is not dead. He was taken to the hospital. Johnson turned the car around. Ready to go to the hospital and kill Old Black. He came to the operating room. At this time the Old Black is still rescuing. Johnson is just a shuttle up there. The sheriff heard the shots and ran after him. Just in time to see Johnson getting ready to leave. The sheriff just shot him. A recovered Johnson quickly fired back. Luckily, he got out of the way in time. The sheriff, who had never died, trembled with fear. He managed to muster up his courage. And then Johnson put his head in it. The sheriff had to surrender. Then close your eyes and wait to die. But for a long time there was no movement. When he opened his eyes, this place is already empty. And Johnson who escaped, just about to take out the last killer. Johnson drove up to a church. And the priest inside, one of the men who killed my brother. The moment I saw Johnson, he knew his time to die had come. Then the two men went to the lake. The priest looked very indifferent. I've been apologizing to Johnson. I hope I can earn his forgiveness. But how can a blood feud be easily resolved? Johnson took out his pistol and shouted. The priest said no more. He calmly knelt on the ground and waited for Johnson's trial. Johnson put a gun to the priest's head. Instead, he fired the bullet sideways, because when my brother was killed, the priest was the only one who stood up to stop it. It was his kindness that saved his life. The avenged Johnson is sitting in church, looking at a picture of myself and my brother. The heart also became relieved. Suddenly a gun was aimed at him. It was the killer. But Johnson doesn't want to talk to each other. He felt guilty. Maybe death is a relief. It makes the killer look bad. The least I can do is respect my profession. Look at Johnson still not responding. The killer told me there was another one who killed your brother. That's when Johnson remembered. There was a guy who shot him in the back. Johnson never saw each other's faces. And then the sheriff came over. He threatened the killer to drop his weapon. Next thing you know, he shoots Johnson. Turns out the sheriff was the mastermind behind the murders. When he found out the Johnson brothers robbed the bank, the heart grew greedy. Some of my friends and I killed people and robbed them. I didn't realize Johnson was saved by the doctors. So he hired a hitman to take out Johnson. Wait until the killer is gone. The sheriff couldn't wait to call the chief to take credit. Suddenly there was a shot. It was Johnson who pulled the trigger. The sheriff looked at him with his face covered. Original. That's the piece of metal he just hit in Johnson's head. With the last killer down, Johnson finally got his revenge. End of the story. He scattered his brother's ashes at sea. Thence, a person began a happy life without shame.